with it. Sweden in 1996 decided to decarbonize its society. It slapped a $150 a ton tax on carbon. It closed its two biggest nuclear power plants at the same time. And today, Sweden is the sixth richest country by GDP on the face of the earth. And what happened was thousands of entrepreneurs rushed into that space to create new forms of energy, from wind and solar and geothermal and tidal and putrid garbage and sawmill waste, local jobs that couldn't be outsourced. And the Swedish economy exploded. Brazil, which has decarbonized its transportation system, is experiencing the longest bout of prosperity, the greatest expansion in that nation's history. Costa Rica, which has decarbonized its electricity system, is by far the most robust economy in Central America. California, thanks to Arnold's efforts, is now the most fuel-efficient economy in the United States. Most people in our country use about 15,000 kilowatts per year. Californians use 6,000, and because of that efficiency, this state is by far the wealthiest state and has the most robust economy. So we know what the answer is, and the question is, how do you get there? And that's the question that's relevant to both Mexican governors and the governors in the United States, because we all have to be involved in this process. We have far greater geothermal resources in this country than they do in Iceland. We have some of the best solar resources, if you include Mexico and the United States, of any nation in the world. The Scientific American just published a report that said that 19% of the most barren desert land in Arizona could provide 100% of the electrical needs of the United States of America, even if every American owned an electric car. The Midwest is the Saudi Arabia of wind. There is enough harnessable wind power in North Dakota, Montana, and Texas alone to supply 100% of the energy needs of our country, even if every American owns an electric car. The impediments are really market impediments. What we really need in this country, when people ask me or Terry Tamanin, what do we need to transfer to this new economy? What we always say to them is we need free market capitalism. We need a marketplace where the lowest cost producers can sell their energy and get a fair return on it. Right now, we don't have a free market. We have a marketplace with rules that favor the filthiest, most dangerous, and least efficient producers: coal, oil, and nuclear. We need a marketplace that does what a marketplace is supposed to do, which is to reward good behavior, which is efficiency, and to punish bad behavior, which is inefficiency and waste. And how the impediments to that, there's three main impediments. One is we don't have a grid in this country, a national grid, a backbone grid that can carry the energy from all of these different sources. A Texas wind farm owner like T. Boone Pickens cannot sell his electrons in New York City because the archaic AC grid the electrons will dissipate before they cross the Mississippi River. So we need to invest in a new grid in this country, a backbone grid that will carry the electrons to every marketplace in this country. The grid today is misaligned. We can't get to the primary areas of local energy, like wind energy in Texas or solar energy in the Southwest. The grid doesn't reach those places, or in Mexico. And we need to rebuild our grid, reinvest in that, and we need to do the same thing that they did with the ARPANET when we built a federal internet grid in this country. The federal government came in and made that investment, and what happened? In 1980, there was a couple of thousands of laptop computers in this country, and IBM said there's no future in this technology. And today everybody owns a laptop simply because we built the marketplace that they could all use. In 1996, we passed the Telecommunications Act in this country. It caused a telecommunications boom in this country because suddenly we had a national marketplace that everybody could use. The second impediment is that in our country, each of the 50 states has different rules, has different public utility commissions that have different rules for accessing the grid. And those rules are impediments to a low-cost producer who wants to get on that grid and sell the energy that he makes. For example, if somebody has a solar panel on their roof and there's a part of the day when they're generating more electricity than they are using, they ought to be able to sell that energy back onto the grid and get market rates for it. Now, in many states, you can sell it back onto the grid, but there's all kinds of restrictions that never give you market rates and restrict the amount of energy that you send. We need to open up the grid so the lowest cost producers in every state and every province of Mexico can get onto that grid and sell the energy and get market share for that energy. We need also to give incentives, as they're starting to do here in California and leading the way, to our utilities. Our utilities today make money by selling energy. So, even if you are the most far-thinking CEO or director of utility, your shareholders want you to convince your consumer base to leave their lights on all night and to burn energy to buy the most fuel-inefficient air conditioners and refrigerators. We need to rejig the rules so that the utilities make money by persuading people to save energy rather than to use energy. And that's what Governor Schwarzenegger is doing here in California with extraordinary results. Let me just give you some ideas, because a lot of people say, Al Gore said the other day, we can do this in 10 years. And a lot of people were skeptical about that, but we can do it in less than 10 years. And I'll give you some examples. One of a company that I'm involved with called BrightSource, which is a solar thermal company, just signed a $9 billion contract with the state of California to provide a gigawatt of power every single year from solar thermal. We can build those plants anywhere. We can build them cheaper than nuke plants, cheaper than coal plants, and cheaper than oil plants, and faster than any of them. We could put them in every one of the provinces that these governors represent in Mexico, because the sun shines there. These are the Saudi Arabia of sun, and we could put those all over the place and power Mexico just from those provinces. Today, we are another company that both Terry and I are involved in. It's called Better Place. We are rewiring Israel. In 3 years, Israel, because of this company, is going to be completely off of gasoline. We are, all of the cars, we have a partnership with car companies, Renault and Nissan. They are going to build electric cars. The utilities will own the battery. You can recharge the battery at home, and it will cost about 1/10 the price of driving a conventional automobile. If you want to drive, the battery will get 120 miles on a single charge. If you want to drive more than that, you can pull into any gas station. They will pull out your exhausted battery and slide in a new one in less than 30 seconds, less time than it takes you to fill up a car. You're driving at a fraction of the cost that it now costs. It costs about 6 cents a mile to drive on electric, and it costs about 40 cents a mile to drive on gasoline. So it's a huge cost saving to the people of Israel. Not only that, Israel now is also our partner, is when we complete this project in 3 years, going to slap a 75% tax on conventional automobiles and tax them out of existence. And we'll have enough batteries to store all of the energy in Israel, so they're going to be able to create solar farms and wind farms in the Negev desert and get completely off of oil, which is what they want. These solutions are real. They're before us now. What we need is a free marketplace, and all of us having the power, and particularly these governors, the capacity to give that to the American people and to the Mexican people and free us from this deadly addiction to carbon. Thank you very much.